Let's settle. I'm sorry. Kindly let's settle and begin the afternoon session. Time is not on our side. Alafu msimame. Naona watu wameanza kusinzia hata na hatujaanza. Stretch. Stretch please.
Where is the other child? Just hold. Just a second.
So before the picture session, I think I'll just allow you some few minutes to just tell our audience goodbye and then we can proceed.
Good afternoon. Mine is just to say thank you. It was really a privilege to be here, and I thank all participants for being here. I sat back because I was told there's a gift. It's a season of gifts as we look forward to Christmas. And so I said, if there's a gift, why should I wish? There are not too many people who give gifts. For those who are in Kikuyu, they say, Mali ya kupatiwano si mingi. I don't know how to say that, but I'm just saying it's not always that people remember you and gift you. So mine is sincerely say thank you very much. I hope the flowers are mine because I love flowers. And for all those who put their thoughts around this, thank you very much. I wish you well as you proceed for the afternoon.
Makofi.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes, sure.
Thank you very much. So, with your permission, allow me to. Oh.
I think I need to give him a hug, you know. we are grateful for your time and good, very timely speech. And I believe yes, I was saying from Cralaf, we are very grateful for your time and your very timely speech. And we know, probably when you get back, you can tell the secretary that we appreciate your continued support. And please inform him that I'm sure you have seen the feedback. You've seen these people are hungry for this information. They are receptive. So we have started. Let him know we have started and we are continuing. So we'll keep coming, knocking the doors. And I know because we have worked with you people before, that even now you continue working together in this journey of empowering the social media actors.
Thank you. Let's give them a clap. So once again, thank you very much for this support. Yes,
I don't think there's a photo of all of you.
it's okay. Rosa.
Okay, thank you so, so much. So as everybody settles, I'm going to state some few facts or data, and I want, if the information is correct or not, I would ask the experts in the room to correct me. But I want everybody to take note of these numbers, because afterwards I want you to confirm, and then we will discuss afterwards. So, according to some data I found online, over 55% of children aged between the age of 9 and 17 in Kenya have access to internet weekly. Is that true or not? Point 2. 4 in 10 Kenyan children encounter violent sexual material online. Point 3. Excessive screen time is linked to anxiety and depression among children. Point 4. 30 to 50% understand English and speak English, but not communicating in English at a social level. That means texting and chatting. So we have cases where the internet penetration in the rural areas is not as high, but there are cases which are reported. There are a lot of incidences where child abuse cases happen in rural areas, but you can see the coverage and the response is mainly done in the urban areas. So what is happening in the rural communities to ensure that those children are also being taken care of? So those are just food for thought. If you need to clarify in case the data is wrong, please feel free to come back and say, hey, Zainabu, let me tell you, you are lying. It's not 5 out of 10 children, it's actually 6 out of 10. So, but I need us to know that there is underreporting. So as much as the existing numbers are there, we have to remember that more cases are underreported than those that are actually reported. So that number isn't actually representative. So the next session, I actually want us to talk about somebody who, the person who's coming to talk to us knows most about data and can tell us a lot about what is happening. I want us to welcome Esther Mugure. Esther Mugure is the Assistant Director at the State Department for Children's Services. Esther is a Child Protection Officer with over 18, under 18s, over 18 years of experience in child protection. She leads national work on harmful practices affecting children and coordinates the Missing and Found Children's Program. The Missing and Found Children's Program. I need you to underline and hear that so that the right questions can come during this session. Okay. Previously, she served for 10 years at the Milimani Children's Court, supporting children in need of care and protection and those in conflict with the law. Kindly welcome her with a hand as she comes here. Ndio mwanamke. Sasa simameni, please. Hii mnamkaribisha kama umesimama. Everybody, makofi ya Esther. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sit down. The beauty of speaking in the afternoon is that a lot has been said. And even what I was going to come and talk about has been said. But my main area, I know I was to talk about Oxea and harmful practices. She has talked quite a lot on that. So for me, I'll only focus on harmful practices, which is key for me. I work with the State Department for Children's Services. State Department for Children's Services ni ile ilikuwa inajulikana kama Directorate of Children's Services. Ama mahali watoto wa mama na wa baba wanapelekangwa when they fail to meet their parental obligations. Unasikianga kwa community wanaambiwa kwa unapelekwa kwa children rights. That's how our office is known. But now we've been made a State Department for Children's Services. And so I wanted to briefly talk about, next slide. And so I want to talk about harmful practices. What do you know about harmful practices? I know I only have 10 minutes, but what do you know about harmful practices? By show of hand, what do you know about harmful practices? Whenever you talk about harmful, cultural, let me add the word cultural, although I don't like adding it. When you talk about harmful cultural practices, what do you mean? Yes?
Practices that infringe on human rights.
Yes, these are practices that infringe on human rights. So most of these harmful practices are behavior that are rooted either in culture or tradition. It's our way of doing things. For instance, you found your mother and your grandmother were doing the same thing, and so you end up doing the same thing. And so they are passed through generations. Some of these harmful practices are passed through generations, and other harmful practices are generated within the community as days goes on. And so some of these harmful practices also are rooted on myths and pressure to conform. So many myths are there that if you do this, like in some communities, some women cannot eat certain parts of a chicken. So when we talk of these practices, some of these practices, they are based on myths. What will happen to you? You will not get married. Yes. So, sorry, it's a myth. And in some communities, you not eat that part of the chicken. And so some of these harmful practices cause physical, emotional, and social harm, and they take away children's rights. So based on that, we've normalized them. We've seen them when we talk about these harmful practices, because I've said they're based on social norms. We have normalized them, and so we see them as normal. We don't see them as illegal. And so, next slide. And so I want us to look at what the Children's Act, or how the Children's Act defines some of these harmful practices. I know you've heard of them. We have FGM, female genital mutilation. Does it happen in Nairobi? Or we just know that it happens in Nassau counties? Even in Nairobi, it's happening. By the way, let me tell you, even in central Kenya, that the prevalence for central Kenya was almost minimal. Right now, it's high. Then we have child marriage. You can tell me what is child marriage? This is very simple. That table there, child marriage. What is child marriage? A union between. Sorry, let's have
Hands up.
Yeah, hands up. Child marriage, when we're talking about child marriage, what do we mean? There must be a child, definitely, isn't it? There must be a child. And then this child is married, isn't it? There has always been an issue with that word married, because a child cannot get married. Legally, a child cannot get married, but you get that there are children who are married, either to older persons, and these days we know of young people, 17, 16, who are getting married to each other. Now, is that child marriage? What's that? It's two children who are living together. They consider themselves married, and they even have a child. Sasa hiyo unaita nini? Two children dividing each other, and then they get a child. You see the complexity of this child marriage. And then we've always considered the issue of child marriage to be for girls, isn't it? Most of the time we see it's girls who get married. But these days we're even having boys. Because when you look at KDHS, Kenya Demographic Health Survey, the prevalence rate of boys' child marriage, that was in 2022, that was 3%. I know you can say that's a small number, but it's still there. So that's what we mean by child marriage. And then we have girl child bidding. This normally happens. This is a harmful practice that mostly in Samburu and some parts of Turkana. So in girl child bidding, it's not, the girl is not given you've seen some beautiful girls with many beads. So you've seen them? Like in, from Northern or from Kajiado or Narok, beautiful girls with beads. However, this is not what I'm talking about. In girl child bidding, a young girl is taken and given to a moran. And this moran sleeps with this girl, and this girl cannot get pregnant, and this moran will not marry this girl. That is what is called girl child bidding. I want you to Google, to read about it and see. To read about it. It happens. It's one of those little known harmful practices that happens in some communities. So what happens is that if this girl gets pregnant, there are ways of removing that pregnancy, and then this girl now gets married to an older person. This guy, in Moranism, a man, in Moranism, you cannot get married until you finish that cycle. So you're given, it's like, I'd call it prostitution. Because it's like you're given that girl to sleep with her, because you cannot get married during Moranism. And then once you finish that, you go get your beautiful wife, get married, and that's what you mean by that. And then we have virginity testing. That one is, I don't need to explain a bit. And then we have forced male circumcision. Some of these things you're hearing for the first time, isn't it? How many people have heard of forced male circumcision? Iko West? Western, eh? Wanamshu usiku, wanaenda msitu kesho. So, in terms of forced, what I need you to note is the word forced. The word what? Forced. Because, like in many cultures or in many communities, circumcision for men is a rite of passage. But there are some communities that do not practice circumcision. So, if, for instance, that child refuses remember you talked about consent in the morning, refuses to give consent, and this child is forced to undertake that, then that's what we call forced male circumcision. And then there is also something very new that the Act talked about. It's called intersex genital mutilation. And you can ask me, what is intersex genital mutilation? So this is when sometimes you have, when a child is born, a child may have both characteristics of male and female. And so what happens is that maybe the midwife or the person or the doctor who is attending this mother will see this child and look at this child and say, this child looks like a girl. And so if she had, or if this girl had maybe a penis that was coming out, a surgery would be done. And then this person will be considered as a girl. But later on, when this person is around 13, 14 years, anakuwa full bull mwanaume. Tunaelewana? So what happens is that what the Act is against, the Children's Act is against, is that mutilation or that surgery that is done at a very young age, and it's not done within the advice of a please look for me that name. This is the name, the doctor. A doctor, that doctor is called genetics, something. The Children Act mentions, yeah. You know, there is a specific, it's like when you go to the hospital, if you have a problem with the nerves, you see a neurologist, isn't it? Yeah. If you have a gynecological issues, you'll see a gynecologist, isn't it? So there's a specific doctor. Yes. Hiyo jina amesema ikusema kwa sauti. Yes, a geneticist. Yes. Is supposed to give recommendation. So unless that kind of a doctor has given recommendation. And lastly, we have the Children's Act talks of other. So think quietly. What are others? Other harmful practices that affect social, that affect a child's social and even way of life. What other one do you know of? Think about religious practices that you know of. Have you heard of Kavanokia sect? Kavanokia? This is where there are some sects that don't take their children to the hospital. Why? I'm just kidding. You know, I have some blood in Embu. So inaitwa Kavanokia. So they don't take their children to the hospital. We also have, think about what happened in Shakahola, Shakahola 1 and 2. That's, we don't know whether kutakuwa na 3, yeah? So let's, yeah? Yeah, children, because of their religion. So that's a harmful practices. And so the Act, continue, the Act gives, it's, yes, I'm almost done. So the Children's Act explains on what is supposed to happen or what charge you're supposed to get. You can get 3-year imprisonment. That. I'll not focus on Oxea. Madam Eunice was able to talk about it. So please proceed to the next. Proceed to the next. Okay, I know there's a presenter who will talk about laws and policies, so just proceed to the next. Proceed. So, maybe this is something that was not mentioned. Most of you are social media influencers, isn't it? Yes. And so, that being the case, why should a social media influencer talk about Oxea, talk about harmful practices? Number one is because children follow influencers online. True or false? I know she mentioned that there's a specific age where children are supposed to be in the media. But we know these children are in the social media. And they will not follow an old person like me. Ama kuna mtu atanifuata TikTok? Eh? And you know, the most thing I can do is share a verse. Genesis 3 says. So I'll get my fellow age mates, Akina Eunice will be able to follow me. But looking at you, you are young people. So if you have content that is enticing to them, these young people will follow you. And do you know they take your word as gospel truth? And so that is one. And they also, they also follow or copy influencer behavior. So if you're one of those people who love dancing, you'll find that if a person follows you, utakuta hata kwa nyumba, this person is dancing the way you do. So you have a lot of power. And then you can be able to shape opinions of people very quickly. And most of the time, community trust influencers. They trust them because there is that power of them, of the fact that you have a great media following. And then also, you have the opportunity to correct lies and myths. So this is why it is important that we have the social media influencers in the area of child protection, and specifically on OFSEA and also on harmful practices. Next. And this I'll not talk about that because my colleague Eunice talked about it. And you're going fast, Mbaka, now I am. So, let me quickly go through this. Whenever you're talking about OFSEA and harmful practices, explain it in a way, in a very simple manner so that people can understand. Explain also, teach why these harmful practices harm children, and also explain how these acts are illegal, and also teach them where to get help. She mentioned about that. So we go to the next slide. And what should you watch for? Whenever we are talking about the issue of harmful practices, it's a bit of OFSEA. You know, because most of the time you're in the social media. And I was joking with somebody during lunch hour. I was telling them, when the speeches were being given, I had walked out to go and pick a call. When I came back, like 70% of you were on your phone, and I was like, you are sharing this information that we are having a meeting here. So maybe you're in your social media, so we see, you're able to see things. It's like, I've also been told this afternoon there was a clip that was shared yesterday, and I was like, I did see it, but I'm sure, like, how many of you, let me just see, how many of you have seen that clip? Yeah, the GBV, yes, let me see. The GBV one with Sonko. Including naona mpaka watoto wameiona, na mimi sijafanya nini? Sijaona. So you see the power of the social media. And so you're able to note, to see things that even us, because of our age, we may not be able to see, but you're able to see this and then alert or report to the necessary, or to the people who are where it should be reported. Let's go to the next. So number one, the other one. Do not ignore. So there are signs that children are being abused, and if you see that, do And always, like, you may see a child who may seek information from you. Ask them to seek for help and talk about 116 and other harmful practices. And let's go to the next one. That one we've talked about it. And so the call to action is we need to speak clearly about child protection and make safety easy to do what? To understand. And I know children and people love stories and things that are happening in the community. So it's always good to share those real stories and also challenge harmful excuses and harmful practices. And the platform that you have is very good, and you can use that platform to do what? To spread the message of prevention and protection of children. Thank you so much.
Hebu mpigie makofi ya maana. Thank you so much, Esther. I feel like kuna mtu huku ndani ako na swali before we set up for the next presentation. Any question for Esther? What any jokes? Any question? She saw you on social media. I need you to answer. Were you chatting and tweeting about the conversations we're having? Or you guys were just doom scrolling? Which one's which? Okay, you won't tell me the truth, so let me continue. So our next speaker, we have waited for Mr. Ibrahim Alubula. Mr. Ibrahim is he was in investment in children to Save the Children International, the global office. He will be here to take us through the most important session, which is the session on legal and policy framework on child protection. He will talk about some of the laws in the Constitution of 2010, what we have under the UNCRC, ACRWC, Children's Act 2022, Prohibition, and so on. Without further, please give him a hand clap as he starts.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I need to use this, because it's being recorded or something. Okay. I wanted to practice my pastoral skills by just speaking without the microphone, just to test my voice. But I think if it's for other reasons, then I'll use it. Yeah, so thank you for the introduction. I've been given almost 20 minutes or less, but if you note from the list of instruments that we're supposed to cover, just by reading them, I don't know how we'll do that. So I was just talking to Phoebe, and he promised me that there's a follow-up training, hopefully earlier in the year, where we can deep dive into some of the provisions that I'll be talking about today. So my proposal is for us to just signpost, basically, not really make a presentation, but just to signpost some of the legislations that you would find relevant in the course of your work, and then with your permission, you can allow us to deep dive into them once we have this actual training. So I'll basically take you through about 5 instruments or 5 laws, 2 at the international level and 3 at the local level. And like I said, I'll just be signposting and saying these are the provisions that are relevant on matters of privacy and matters around media and matters around children. So I'll begin by talking about the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The Convention on the Rights of the Child is a global instrument that was adopted on the 20th day of November 1989. So on a day like this in 1989, the Convention on the Rights of the Child was adopted. Now, today is the World Children's Day, for those of you who didn't know. And part of the reason why this has been fixed for today is because it's the World Children's Day. So the international community is actually taking a step back to reflect on the rights of children. And it's for this reason that the 20th day of November has always been celebrated as the World Children's Day. Now, the history of that convention is very long because after the Second World War, the international community, for the very first time, thought about the plight of children. And they came up with what we call the first Geneva Declaration on the Rights of the Child, that only had about 5 items that were related to children. And they were talking about, children in cases of wars, children should be the first people to benefit from assistance, and so forth and so on. In 1959, after the Second World War, again, the international community came up with the second Geneva Declaration on children. And now in 1989, 30 years later, we now have the Convention on the Rights of the Child being adopted on 20th of November, like I've said. This article, this convention has quite a number of issues to deal with children, but for purposes of this meeting, I'm only going to signpost 2. The first one is Article 16. So if you look at my screen, this is the article that relates to issues of privacy. So you would see, I don't know if those at the back can read clearly, that no child shall be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his or her privacy, family, home or correspondence, nor to unlawful attacks on his or her honor and reputation. So the the Convention on the Rights of the Child is very big on issues of privacy, and you can see how that is formulated. And this is way back in 1989. They are talking about privacy, they are talking about correspondence, they are talking about unlawful attacks on his or her honor and reputation. So issues of dignity, again, when you talk about issues of rights, always remember dignity is at the center of it. But most importantly, remember that there is that provision under Article 16 that deals with issues of privacy. It also goes on to say that the child has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks. And it's for this reason that countries are actually asked to enact legislations that will then guarantee this right to children. So always remember about the right to privacy. It's not just a national legislation item, but it's also covered in international legal instruments, particularly the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Then we will also look at Article 17, which again now directly deals with the issues of media. So remember, this instrument, like I said, was adopted in 1989, but the drafting of the instrument itself began in 1979. So the international community took 10 years to draft the Convention on the Rights of the Child. But you can see as early as 1989, we are already guaranteeing under Article 18 that state parties recognize the important function performed by the mass media and shall ensure that the child has access to information and material from a diversity of national and international sources, especially those aimed at the promotion of his or her social, spiritual and moral well-being and physical and mental health. So Article 17 is quite loaded. I'm not going to get into the depth of it, but what's important to note is that governments are actually being asked to ensure that legislations are in place to ensure that children benefit from this right to information. And when we talk about the right to information, of course it's a double-edged sword, like we always say. It can protect, but also it can be injurious to children, but it can also guarantee certain rights to children. For example, when we talk about encouraging mass media to disseminate information and material of social and cultural benefit to children in accordance with the spirit of Article 29, which is around matters of education. So you actually guaranteed that children are actually guaranteed the right to benefit from mass media and so forth and so on. So you can imagine that as early as 1989, much as the social media where most of you where it's space for most of you, these rights were already recognized under the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Now, before I move away from the Convention on the Rights of the Child, I would urge you to look at General Comment number 25, which is on issues around. So if you just Google General Comment number 25, look at it from the perspective of social media and the kind of work you do, and you'll see the kind of advisory that governments have in respect of that. So allow me to quickly move away from the Convention on the Rights of the Child, unless there is any quick question on that, because I want to look at the African Charter very briefly again. Any comment or questions? Sorry, like I said, we are just signposting. We don't have time to deep dive into this. I just wanted to bring to your attention the relevant provisions. And this is then the second instrument that I'll talk about is the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. The African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. The history of the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child is closely tied to that of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. When the convention was adopted in 1989, we had a workshop here in Nairobi that was convened by an organization that some of you might know, ANCAN. And that organization looked at the draft instrument, the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And it felt like that convention did not address African concerns. So there were issues that relate to an African child that the convention thought were not properly addressed in the instrument that we've just been looking at, the global instrument, that's the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And therefore, some of the experts who were in that meeting, and this is in 1989, included the former Attorney General and former Senator for Busia County, Amos Wako, and people like Lee Mudoga and the rest. They actually resorted to drafting an instrument that was going to address special issues that related to the African child. For example, the convention only talked about rights. It did not talk about duties. So they felt that it was important that an African child is not only guaranteed of rights, but also issues of duties that are supposed to be imposed on an African child. Number two, they looked at certain aspects that were not covered in the convention, including things like FGM, which we're supposed to have talked about, but I'm sure some of my colleagues talked about them. So all those aspects were now put in a region-specific instrument for children in Africa. And that convention was adopted in 1991. So this is the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. Now there are quite a number, I'll only talk about one article, which is Article 10, which you can see there. So Article 10 relates to issues of protection of privacy, and you see how it's crafted, that no child shall be subject to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his privacy, family, home, correspondence, or to the attacks upon his honor or reputation. And remember, reputation is also listed in the CRC. Provided that the parents or legal guardians shall have the right to exercise reasonable supervision over the conduct of their children. The child has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks. Now, in Africa, we are saying, you can see now for the first time in Africa, we're actually introducing the parent in the mix. Because the convention did not have a very special place for the parent, but in Africa, we are saying that parents, legal guardians have the right to exercise reasonable supervision. So whenever you are talking about children and issues of privacy in the context of Africa, always remember that parents have the right to exercise what we call reasonable supervision over the conduct of their children. This was not actually in the global instrument. And so when you are looking at issues of privacy, issues of communication and all that, and those of us who are in school, and parents would always want to access your letter, they would always want to read and so forth and so on. In the context of Africa, that would find a place, because we would be saying that that is reasonable supervision. What is reasonable would obviously depend on the circumstances, so we would leave that to you to actually judge what is reasonable and what is not reasonable. But suffice it to point out that the right protection of privacy is captured in the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, and the parent has a big role to look at that. So I would leave that with the convention. Of course, it has quite a number of articles. What is important also to note about the convention and the charter is that countries are expected to periodically report on the progress of implementing these instruments. And so on 5th of November, on 5th of December, sorry, Kenya will be reporting on its progress of implementing the Convention on the Rights of the Child in Lesotho, where the committee of experts that looks at this implementation sits. I hope some of my colleagues, maybe Dennis, I don't know if you would be traveling to Malabo for this, but yeah? So virtual participation. So please look forward to that. Virtual participation, maybe we can, in the spirit of ensuring that this instrument gets the kind of attention it should, we should share the virtual link because at that point the committee will be looking at how Kenya has implemented not just Article 10, but all the articles under the Charter. And civil societies have had an opportunity to raise issues with how the government has reported its implementation. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how this happens. And I'll obviously implore you because the work that you're doing is very vital. Like the colleague who was here before me said, and this is one way in which you can actually disseminate this. So I won't get into a lot of detail on this, but I'll just mention that Article 10 relates to issues of right to privacy. So again, if there's any question or comment up to that point on the African Charter, before now I move to national laws. Okay, so I'll very quickly move to an instrument that we all know, the Constitution. So the Constitution, I'll only signpost 2 articles. So I'll talk about Article 31, which is on the right to privacy. Please, in your free time, look at it. And Article 53, which deals with the rights of children. So I won't, in the interest of time, I won't project, but maybe you can just take note of the 2 articles, Article 31 and Article 53. I want to spend a bit of time looking at the Children Act. Which is a fairly new legislation, just enacted in July 2022. From the Children's Act, I'll maybe make reference to maybe 2 or 3 sections. So I'll make reference to Section 8, which some of us have argued is one of the most important sections in this Act. So the Children Act was enacted in 2022 to protect child rights, and it's the legislation that actually deals with most of the rights for children. And so, in the interest of time, I won't get into a lot of it, but Section 8, which you can look at, looks at the best interest of the child. And one of the issues around the best interest, if whenever you forget anything about the Children Act, I always urge people to always remember the best interest of the child, because we always say that in all actions concerning children, whether undertaken by private, public, social welfare institutions, courts of law, administrative authorities, and all legislative bodies, the best interest of the child shall be the primary consideration, and that the best interest of the child shall include, but shall not be limited to, considerations spelled out in the first schedule. So maybe you look at the first schedule, but for any decision that you make, whether concerning children, you must always ask yourself, is this decision that I'm making in the best interest of the child? So even if it's in a court of law, parents have a conflict on who goes with the children. One thing that is supposed to guide the court is the best interest of the child principle. So even you, while doing your work, any decision that you make, if you're going to put a story of a child, for example, in the newspaper, always ask yourself, or in the social media, whether that is in the best interest of the child.
Question.
Yes.
Right now, there's a conversation going on.
Yes.
About 2 kids, Betty Bio's kids.
Yes.
And one of the parents is dead, and she had moved on to another person. The dad is alive, and there's been that debate about who goes with the children. If you are going to look at the best interest of the children, is their father the best person to go with those children? So from the legal standpoint, what would be your views on that?
That's what we used to call a trapping question. I don't want to fall in this trap. I know for sure there could be a bit of litigation around that, because I've seen, what's his name, Mr. Omari, saying that he already has instructions from one of the parties. But yeah, it's a good case to illustrate the best interest of the child. The reason being that the court will have to ask all the contestating parties to actually present the evidence, and it will have to look at what is in the best interest of these children. Is it when they are with their quote-unquote biological parent, or the adoptive parent? I hope, and I just sincerely hope and pray that it doesn't get there, but if it gets there, this would be the main thing that the court will be looking at. What is in the best interest of these children? I also don't have enough facts around that case, because at some point I heard that the other father had actually gone ahead and done what we call an adoption process. I don't know how the adoption was done. I don't have that information, but it would be interesting to see how the court balances the competing interests. But that is a very good case where probably if it goes to court, Section 8 would be the main determinant. Yeah. But there are a lot of arguments around that. Of course, issues around biology, issues around who is the best parent to take care of the child, and so forth and so on. So the best interest would definitely come into play. In the interest of time, let's move to Section 27, which primarily deals with issues of privacy. Yes. So that's the section. No person shall subject a child to arbitrary or unlawful interference with their privacy, family or private affairs, correspondence, or to attacks upon his honor or reputation. Now you see, they trace their root in the Convention on the Rights of the Child. They also are traced in the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. But most importantly, please take note that you cannot arbitrarily or unlawfully interfere with the child's privacy. So again, the Children Act tries to balance issues of parental involvement in issues of privacy, where it talks about exercising reasonable supervision over the conduct of their children. And so here the Act expects us to, gives parents the latitude to exercise what they are calling a reasonable supervision over the conduct of their children. Now, whether reasonable supervision is broad enough to cover a situation where you want to check your child's use of gadgets, whether you can actually check your child's emails, you can actually check your child's WhatsApp and so forth and so on, that would probably find its grounding in that section. Remember, the global instrument does not really give serious thought about parental interference with that. And then the third and most critical thing to note is that personal data concerning a child shall not be processed only in accordance with the provisions of the Data Protection Act. So there are issues around just sharing the data of a child. Anything data of a child, please ensure that it's in tandem with the Data Protection Act. Now, just in passing, while talking about issues of privacy, and because we are dealing with issues of media here, there's always that issue around the extent to which you can actually share a child's information. A lot of us get into the trap of putting the picture of a child in a story. I think if you are not careful, that particular section will catch up with you. If you are reporting on a case involving a child, again, please take note that you should not actually, in most cases, we actually discourage the use of names or even anything that would, indicate or give a pointer to where this child is from. For example, you can say this child was from XY primary school. in Kajiado County. You know, that is already giving an indication of where this child, is, and so forth and so on. That this particular section can actually catch up with you because you're already exposing this child and you're actually infringing on their right to privacy. I think what is important to note is that there is a criminal offense under that, and I just wanted to look at the penalty clause. I think sorry about that. There is a clause that talks about issues of, the penalty. I can get back to it later. But yeah, that's what I wanted to mention about the Children Act. Please note that it's actually a criminal offense if you infringe on the privacy of a child in that context by letting out data that relates to this particular child. And that can actually be a criminal offense. Now finally, I want us just to very briefly touch on the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act, which again is something that might catch up with a lot of us. We have agreed that we'll get into a deep dive on this provision, or rather these provisions in the next training. So in the interest of time, I think it's important to note that this law is there, and there are quite a number of crimes that are covered by this legislation. It's a 2024 legislation, and on the 5th of October, I think that's the day Baba died, there was a new bill that was signed, but even before the ink on that bill dried, there was already a court matter. Ruben Kigame and Kenya Human Rights Commission are already in court challenging the constitutionality of that bill. So I don't want to get into a lot of detail on that because this matter is still before court. We know that the operation of that bill, it's called this is the bill, the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Amendment Act 2025. The operation of this legislation, bits of it has been suspended because the argument is that the law criminalizes speech on the basis of speculation. If you read it properly, it actually criminalizes this on the basis of speculation. It's supposed to commence operations on 4th of November, but like I said, before that happened, it's already subject to a court matter. And so let's see how some of these issues will be dealt with by the court. Hopefully when we get here in the next training in February, when we deep dive into the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act, we'll probably have a better understanding of some of this. Before I close, I would want us to also look at the Kenya Information and Communications Act. It's called the KICA Act. It has quite a number of useful provisions that relate to your work. Please take note of that. The Media Council and Code of Practice of 2025, it's also very critical to your work. We have agreed to organize a session that will deep dive into this. And finally, the Kenya ICT regulations of 2025 also. A lot of your work might be impacted by those legislations that I've mentioned. There are quite a number of offenses under the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act. But in the interest of time, I'll just signpost and say, please go and read this. But there are quite a number of criminal offenses that defined in that legislation. I had wanted to highlight a few. So part 3 actually deals with offenses. If you don't read any part of this legislation, because part 2 deals with the institutional framework of it, but part 3 deals with offenses. I would please plead with all of you, by virtue of what you are doing, to consider reading the offenses and also the penalty section. because it provides for very stiff penalties. If you look at section 20, you then see that the fine not exceeding 25 million or an imprisonment term not exceeding 20 years or both. These are very stiff penalties, and if you are in this space and doing this kind of work, I would suggest that you don't proceed doing it before you read that relevant part. So in the interest of time, because we might not have the time to delve into those offenses, and because Cralaf has kindly agreed to organize another round of training where we get deep into this, I would propose that I just signpost and say, please read it critically. Also, read the provisions in the legislation that came into effect on the 4th of November that was meant to amend this legislation and provide for additional aspects under this legislation. And number 3, please let's put our ears on the ground and listen to what the court will say. Hopefully, in the spirit of broadening our work, the court will agree with the Ruben Kigame and KHRC and have this legislation moderated so that we don't quite infringe on Article 31 of the Constitution, which is on the right to privacy. So colleagues, allow me to stop at that point. Sorry, I've taken too much time from the 20 minutes that you gave, but I'll thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. I didn't feel like that was 20 minutes. You see, even I didn't start. Because the vision he was sharing, the information he was sharing was very relevant. I feel as if this is an area where we rarely get taught on what are the laws, because at the end of the day, what you don't know, but you cannot continue feigning bliss when ignorance is no longer bliss. We need to make sure that we are up to date. We know what laws are there to protect our children and to protect us in the ways that we need to protect them. So kindly, like he said, today we have not been able to go through everything. Clara, this is a first of the workshops. We need to do more. I need us to now come back. I need you to demand for us to come back and now teach more. The areas where you feel this was the gap and I feel like it can be filled, I need you to please, I need you to make sure that you read on the articles that he has mentioned, and even you can write an email and ask me to ask him to send us that presentation so that you know which areas you need to focus on, the areas where the content needs to be created, because the content that we are churning out there needs to be real, it needs to be factual. We need to be the ones who are counter or at least providing information where everybody else may be misleading or providing misinformation or just information that is not accurate. This is now our chance to create content that debunks and actually champions what the truth is. And you can only do that if you understand the law. So, because we have already gotten into that serious section, the next part, but my voice is loud enough, right? Can you hear me? So now, next we are going to talk with the right person, the person who uncovers what happened, how it happened, who was involved, and to ensure the evidence is legally and will legally stand in court. So kindly, allow me to welcome Detective Paul. Detective, I'm scared. Now, you know when you're asked, do you know people? Now you know people. Here is Detective Paul Osundwa. Detective Paul Osundwa is the Internet Crimes Children Investigator, Digital Forensic Analyst. So if you need the number, you will see him in my tent. Welcome him with a hand clap.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. They always say, deal ni nyingi, shida ni nani? are going to ride, of course, right? So I am, as they have mentioned, my name is there. I am an internet crimes against children investigator. I'm also a certified digital forensic analyst. Don't worry about your phones and computers. I'm not touching any today. Today. So I come from that unit. I don't know if any of you knows where we are based. Who knows where we are based? By a show of hands. The mic, you can give them a chance to get the gifts.
Hello, Kiambu Road.
Another person. Another one. State House.
Shouts, if I can't reach HQ. Yes. Was I seven?
Before you reach Lamar Hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you need direction, you talk to me. Nairobi, you know.
All right. Is there another response? Yes.
All police headquarters have a DCSA, so
Okay. Adult responses are all correct. But I say, one more. Mpongeze huyu kwa makofi. If you don't even, I give you this assignment, find out where we are based. Okay? You can't have such a lovely unit and you don't know where it is. We are in South Sea. We are supposed to be at the headquarters. All the people who answered about the headquarters are correct. But we saw it fit that let us serve children in an environment that is conducive. So we chose the DCI Academy. Tulikodisha kanyumba kadogo hapo. So walitusongea, that's where we operate from. Okay? South Sea, if the expressway was not there, it was opposite Capital Center actually. On the other side. Are we now okay? Walk in with your reports. Challenge us with those reports you always say, police, wamelala kazini, hawafanyi kazi, wanalipwa mshahara, taxpayers. Let's move on, please. So I wanted to take you through the unit so that you can know where you go. Okay? Mwache kusambaza hizi vitu za watoto kwa mtandao. You ati report. Once you report on the social media, I have to investigate your account again. So that I know. Sasa huyu information yenye amenipatia ndio kama if it is not complete, who do I contact? Okay? So let's move please. That is where we are. The photographer wasn't fair enough, but that is where we are. That grass-thatched building is where we are. Okay? We have been around since 2016. In 2019, I entered the unit in 2018, and for the purpose of this. I was fished wherever I was, and I was told there was something good that was coming up. And actually the person who came for me told me that the following day I was to greet somebody, and the person I was going to greet, I will never need to wash my hands again. Imagine if somebody told you that. So we established that, it was launched, and after that we saw that the coastal region has so many problems and tourists. We also have give them a fair share of the cake. Let's move on. Vision yetu ndio hiyo na mission yetu ndio hiyo. If you find any staff who is not abiding by that, please tell us, okay? They must walk and smell like the vision and the mission. They have been trained. They have been, everything has been provided for them. That's all. Our unit survives on these three pillars. Prevention. If we are not preventing, in our prevention mission, it means I have to take some of my time from arresting buggers to now taking a chalk and teaching. Okay? I have to sensitize you. If I ask you here, I'll ask a very simple question and I'll gauge the response to know. Now the question will be, how do you report an abuse on WhatsApp? People don't know, right? Influencers, TikTok, mko hapa? Mnakuwa? TikTok anakuanga mtu. Okay, influencer anakuanga mtu. No, me, I grew up in recent times knowing that TikTok and AI, I'm an influencer and AI. It's not a person. I'm surprised to meet influencer. I'm honored. I'm a TikToker. Okay? So, we prevent, then we work. If we cannot prevent, we protect, we respond. This is investigation, victim identification, safeguarding. We remove the victims from the harm. Okay? Then, child protection officers cannot survive without partners. Okay? Partnership is very important. Let's move on. Okay, that was just a little bit of introduction. It doesn't mean a lot. But the role of these people I've mentioned here can be very nice if you can educate your audiences about, right? CEO, you know, you always say you cannot assist even in reporting a crime until it knocks at your doorstep. Okay? You see somebody, a child is being defiled or is walking with strangers, and you say, we see one, see relative. Highlight the red flags. Adults and peers should notice. Share safety tips for parents and young people if you can. Si watu wanawafuata, si mko na follow. 1 million plus. That is always the target. Especially for those who have accounts that are. Okay? Tumia hiyo uwezo, but we invited one in the office, akasema mnipatie 500, you need 500k deposit, so that I can sensitize the public on your behalf. Akasema sasa sisi 500 tena tunatoa wapi? Sasa hiyo kidogo hata hatuna. Si tuliona huyu mtu anaweza kutusaidia. Okay. But not if you are in the child protection space, money is always the last thing on the food chain. Niulize kwa nini? Promoting safe online behavior. Saidia usikue mtu tu. There is somebody who invited me for a case. Amesema kuna watoto wanaendana hapa Kilimani for night what? Sleepovers. Sleepovers ama sijui inaitwa nini. Then I said I need more on this. This is a very serious case. Unajua kupigia huyo mtu simu tu hata hakunijibu. Alinitumia lawyer. Akasema sisi tuna report tu. Hakuna haja ati ati sisi tunatokea kupeana more information. Nikamuuliza, that's a very sensitive case. If kids are going to a house and they are being raped, don't you have an obligation to give more information? I don't want you to be a witness. Just give me more information. Tembeza hii kitu. Directing audiences to resources. I will encourage you. Tuko na hii kitu ni free. This one. In South Africa, somebody was given time ya kufanya kazi on probation. Ndio sentence ipunguzwe. Akasema alikuwa baba yule wa kunyoa. Akasema utanyoa watu 10. Wale watu walipatikana wamepanga laini hapo. 50% walikuwa wa Kenya. We have given you a free, toll-free line. Now WhatsApp, please, you make use of it.
I'm not seeing you taking pictures of this line. I'm missing.
All right? So, you anonymously report. You don't need to mention your name. No one is going to mention your name. No nothing. Hiyo ni ngumu. Don't go to those police station ile mnaulizwanga ulisikia. Okay. They don't ask, but mtu aliulizwa kitambo, but still, people still relate to that. Hata ile aliulizwa alikufa. Na ile aliulizana pia alikufa. Nowadays, you can visit the station, but if you can't visit the station, please do this. Avoid, if you have a child case, don't share it on the platform, okay? Because you will get, in fact, when you share it, in the platform, we have pedophiles. They get aroused by seeing the CSAP that you are sharing. And as you share, legally, you are due for prosecution. Okay? Under Section 24 of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, if you read it, utashtakiwa for sharing child sexual exploitation material. Sishiki mtu leo, but I don't know of tomorrow. Tuendelee. So reporting harmful content, of course, it's good. You flag suspicious accounts. Report abusive, exploitative content to relevant authorities. Avoid resharing harmful content here to Tuendelee. Influencing platform policies. Mkiwa kwa hizo policies, kama TikTok, watoto wana dance saa 6 ya usiku. Saa 6 ya usiku TikTok, nini hufanyika? That's where the ghosts become live. Sasa, when you are using a TikTok account and you step out of the room a little, you go to the washroom and the child was peeping. You know, kids are very funny. I don't know how we managed to be born in the same house with our brothers and sisters those long time ago in one house with a kitchen, self-confused. But we never asked our parents how they managed to make the others who followed us. Right now, it's a problem, okay? Ukitoka tu hivyo, step out, unaacha TikTok ikuwa live. Mtoto naye anaruka kwa bedroom like a soldier. One time, anaanza kudance. Whoever you are entertaining now, amepata, kwani kuna kafotokopi kadogo kamekuja tena kwenye editing. So, advocate for, yes, join campaign, sharing online platforms. Kwa hiyo account yako, unaweza sema tu please. Najua a child case elicits a lot of comments, a lot of reactions, a lot of, sometimes hata huwa naona likes. So, where a child is being abused, when you see likes, now you don't know, is this person on the other side or ako kwa hii side yetu? Breaking stigma and supporting survivors. Reduce stigma surrounding child abuse through compassionate communication. No. hata ukiingia kwa Facebook sahi or any other platform, on those reports that have gone viral, there was another one I saw, I don't know where it was, but my boss sent me to investigate, where an old man in the bush with a child, at where this child has been raped by this old person. I don't know if it is verified or it's just somebody who has created for his own or her own, you know, okay? Avoid hizo vitu. Like, don't, I think they may land you in problems. You may hide behind the laws, you say you have the freedom to write what you can, but I think the freedom may have limitations. Okay? Mi sishiki mtu. Mi leo tunahubiri. Polisi mhubiri. Okay? Let's go. You will collect sadaka. Ethical storytelling. Avoid exploiting sensitive topics for engagement, especially kwa watoto. Alafu, fact check all stories before sharing. If somebody posted something on maybe Kilimani Moms. Wait, do we have members? Kilimani Moms members going once? Twice? Huko ndo kuna kuanga na vituko. Some of those platforms, Nairobi Leaks, going once? Going? Okay. I already have your contacts. Nitasema, nilikuwa na wewe pale Swiss. Ulikata. Unafanya nini huko? Collaborating with experts. Effective collaboration includes child protection NGOs, mental health professionals, digital safety experts, and law enforcement. Let's go on, please. Avoid this one. This one is the bottom of all. Don't just, please, this child may not be yours, but it is somebody's child. It is a human. Okay? This person may become a president tomorrow, and they may find what you share. Okay? Please, be nice. Najua, where and where. Lazima mtu atafute kitu Nairobi ni ngumu. But, okay? Let us be. Don't use victim stories without consent. By the way, parents, why do we share our pictures to our children's pictures on social media? Yeah? Show off to who? Who wants your children? Now, if you want to know that no one wants your children, say they are sick and you want some contribution. You see how many will turn up in that harambe. Or your child is due for university, and see how many people will WhatsApp you with the money. No one is interested in your children. You are in your own world. If anything, you are feeding some foreign social media platforms with information that they didn't even want, or they wanted, but kukufikia tu umepatia bure. Okay? Sharing harmful videos, even if they are blurred, don't share them. Bora inaonyesha mwili wa mtoto. So, let's go on, please. Okay, investigation process. Hapa ndio nataka tusaidiane. I know people don't want to associate with the law. Okay? Law enforcement. Polisi tuliwakosea nini? Okay. Yes? Nimesikia Cralaf wanakugeukia. Leta kitu kidogo ndio? So, sometimes we are rough. Yes?
Unajua shida umejiwekea.
Shida
Unajua shida yenye umejiwekea.
Shida yenye umejiwekea. Now, like, I agree with all that. It is very hard to defend the name of the police. But I challenge you. The other day, we had a very nice exercise throughout the country called what? Hello? How are the fresh? Right? Which type of people did you present in those recruitment centers? Failures, people who are headaches to you in the house, those who cannot be welcome in any company. I'm just saying that that's the majority. Even from the rich, they want to present their children. Wale ambao kwenda ujishikilie huko. Is that not true? Garbage in?
Garbage out.
Wait, watu waiti garbage in? Wale mmepeana wanakuja kwa station. You see, the police, there is no day the public shapes the policeman they want. You get? Advocate for police officers with good academic qualifications. Because that's what is available. That's what the society gives us. That's what the law, you see, it is for policies, it is in the policies and in the laws, okay? Say society, msituandikie wajinga. Then, by the way, CID, we don't take academic dwarfs, so you may know. If you have been employed, with that data or whatever, in the DCI outer bosom, because you cannot investigate, literally. Okay, ndio hii bwana. Usiseme you don't know where to report, please. There you are. Okay? Zingine ndio hizo. Then the zingine case studies, our what? Success stories. Tulifunga huyu. Iko Mwafrika, unaweza ona ni mzungu peke yake. This one was in Malindi. Okay? That man was fined for that. And every child deserves. I am done.
Meeting the microphone. Sasa, who came before him? Mr. Ibrahim. Mr. Ibrahim was detective ama alikuwa nani? Umesahau already? Investment in children to save the children international. He told us a lot about the law, and now we have a detective. Nafikiria watu wawili tutawapata anywhere else. It is your time, hot fire, waulize all the questions that you need. You can even start them to sit down, start sweating on us. So please, 5 hot questions. Anything you want to know, reporting, anything to do with the law, it's now. They have microphones. I'm passing the microphone around. So kindly, questions. Anybody wants to start us off? Okay.
What are you doing about the disabled children who are being locked in their houses with their families?
Another question. We're taking all 5 questions.
then they will answer. So question.
Good afternoon. My name is James. I wanted to ask whether your unit has sort of like an outreach or an extended program where you probably engage with other DCI officers or police officers in police stations, because kienda kwa hizi stations za mtaa ni kama watu wengi tofauti, watu wazima na watoto, because you find them placing children in cells that have adults, and we've been having serious challenges with actually explaining to them that, you know, these are minors. If this is a minor, please don't place them in police cells with adults, because anything could happen inside there. So I would just like to understand if there is such an arrangement where at least your peers or your colleagues understand whatever it is you brought us here today, because wengine ni kama hawaelewi at all, or they do not have that judgment of actually seeing that this is a minor and this is an adult. Thank you.
More questions? I want 5 questions, but they can start answering the 2. Okay, 3.
Good afternoon. Mine is Christina Ibrahim. Besides what you mentioned on countries, yeah, oh, you can tell me. Besides what you mentioned on countries like Kenya going to Lesotho really soon to prevent how they've conformed with the African Charter, what other mechanisms do you have to ensure countries conform to the same? Is there any punishment or just anything else that ensures this happens?
Good afternoon. My name is Samson Julian. My question is, I don't know if any of you saw a video a while back where a guy, a fairly young guy, saw this little girl, and I want to see her. Then he recorded saying that the society is so messed up that if I try to help this little girl, people will turn against me. Now, this is a situation whereby he is recording the girl without any adults' consent, including the little girls. Also, this is a guy leaving a child to suffer in the, with the artworks. So, I don't know, is this a moral situation or a criminal situation? I think both of you can answer that one.
So the last question from here, please. I have a question on my mind.
I have 2 questions on behalf of Gen Zs. Number 1 question, when it comes to reporting, who investigates the DCI? If you are reporting the case against a policeman, who investigates them and how do we go about that? Then the next question is, we have an issue whereby there is segmentation, whereby if a man goes to report a case, it's not taken seriously the same way a woman reports it. So what do you do when a man comes to report an issue about online child exploitation in order not to make them not feel segregated?
Okay, I think you can. My last question would be what we've been seeing on the news. There was a recent law about older men marrying young children, or rather underage Somalis, and we had the older men coming to protest. Why is the law coming to interfere with practices that they have been championing for the longest time? So I found that very disturbing, especially some of the videos that were going online of some people complaining about that legend kind of education, or what more can we know about that particular law? Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess that's an indication that we should start. So I'll take a few, then my colleague will deal with the harder ones. videos. I'll only take the easy ones then. At the risk of being arrested. But I know you will protect me if you arrest me. So the question of children with disabilities, I think much as it was directed to my colleague, it's an easier one, so I'll take it. I'll draw your reference to Section 20 of the Children Act, which protects the right of refugees. My colleague Eunice is here. Fortunately for us, we were very much involved in the drafting of this new Children's Act. And in the committee, we were very specific about children with disabilities. If you look at the initial drafting of the previous act, it talked about children with disabilities being guaranteed of their right to health care, free of charge, whenever possible. But if you look at the formulation of Section 20 right now, it is very affirmative. It's a guarantee that children with disabilities are actually entitled to this without any conditions. Actually, the Act used to say free of charge or at a reasonable cost whenever possible. We said it will never be possible if you let the state have that kind of thing. So right now, it's an absolute right. And so look at how Section 20 is formulated. It guarantees the dignity of children with disabilities. It guarantees them the right to access medical care and education free of charge at the expense of the state. The challenge is on the implementation, and this is where we'll be calling upon all of you. If we want to really promote the rights of disabilities, of children with disabilities, we need to bring out the fact that there is that guarantee under that act, so that we begin pushing the state to actually implement these commitments. Otherwise, it will remain a very good reading as it's presented in Section 20, but without any tangible actions to actually ensure its implementation. So that's what I can say about that. There was a question from a colleague who asked about mechanisms that ensure that countries implement the commitments. So I didn't get into the deep dive of the two instruments, the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter. Both instruments have a committee that is supposed to ensure that the countries actually implement. And the committee does what we call monitoring this implementation through periodic reporting. So every country is supposed to report after every 5 years in the case of the charter, in the case of the global instrument. But in the case of the regional instrument, it's 4 years. So Kenya will be reporting this year. The last time we reported, I think, was in 2020 or 2019, thank you, 2019, where the committee gave what we call concluding observations. And I would also urge you, this is another space that we really need to have people to help us disseminate what the committee is saying about Kenya. So if you went to the Committee on the Rights of the Child website, you will see concluding observations, things that Kenya has said it is not doing very well and it has committed to implement. We allow them to just get away with it. They say we'll do this, they don't do it. So this is another very good space that you can help us hold the governments to account on the concluding observations, what the report card that has been issued by the committee in Geneva. So on 5th of December, the government has already done a very good report, a very flowery report of what it's doing on children. And if you look at that report, you would actually really want to be a Kenyan child, because the government has said every good thing that it does for the Kenyan child. And it's a good opportunity for you to scrutinize what the government has said, and where possible, point out and say, this is not true. Let me give an example. They might talk about free primary education or free education in the context of Kenya, and they'll leave it at that. They might not tell you about the fact that capitation disbursements delay, so that only last week we got primary schools and secondary schools were getting their final capitation. Some of those things they might not say, so it's expected of civil societies to point out some of those things. And then the committee will make recommendations, like for example, they would say, you need to timely disburse capitation grants to schools to enable them run. So if we don't hold the government to account, and you have a very good platform that can help us hold the government to account on some of those. So I would call upon you to work very closely with us so that we ensure that when the government will be, when the civil societies will be presenting their complimentary report on the 5th of December, you already highlight the issues. And when the government goes there in February next year, to now reply to some of those issues, you can also highlight. Now that's one area where it is around treaty reporting. You can also, quote unquote, sue the government before these committees. And Kenya was the first country that was taken to the African Committee of Experts in respect to the Nubian children case. I think it was in 2006 or 7. So the Nubian children never used to get access to they never used to get access to birth certificates and all that. Kenya was actually taken to that committee because it was infringing on the right to nationality, the right to education, and the right to health care for Nubian children. Because if you don't have a birth certificate, you can't register in schools. And the committee found Kenya to be in violation of that right. So it's beyond treaty reporting mechanisms. You can actually take the government to court, I mean not to court, to the committee, if they are not implementing some of those rights. So that's just a second mechanism other than the treaty reporting one. The case of the morality or the legality of this video, which I must consider I didn't see, because I'm not very good in these things, so I didn't see it. But it reminds me of that story of this journalist who, is it said they committed suicide? The one who actually filmed a child who was, what was the case? A malnourished child who was actually starving. Instead of doing something about it, he just
filmed, got an award for it.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know the story better than I do.
It's called Kata.
Yes. Thank you, madam. So, yeah, a lot of times it's actually a moral obligation because of the way the law is structured. But if you look at the Children Act critically, and this is the definition of child abuse, I was just trying to look at how it's defined because we had an interesting discussion on that when the law was being drafted. We were very specific on that definition, the way we formulated it. Maybe my colleague can, after answering, I'll just read for you the definition of child abuse. Then you let me know if you think that case fits under child abuse. But the long and short of it is that a lot of times it's taken as a moral obligation. But the way we formulated the Children Act now, and I'll read the definition of child abuse, we can get into a discussion as to whether there can be a legal obligation flowing out of that. Then finally, the moderator's question on older men marrying younger children. It's an interesting discussion because last July, I was in Somalia. They had enacted a new Children Act. Of course, the definition of a child was put at age 18, but there was a lot of pushback. They want to reduce it to 15 years. So as the time I was living, there was a lot of pushback from a lot of people saying that age should be reduced from 18 to 15. There are very good reasons as to why we have put the age of a child at 18. There are biological reasons. Actually, research shows that the development of an individual goes up to age 21. And so the discussion should be whether we should raise it from 18 to 21. But for now, it's still at 18. But we've seen a lot of countries pushing back, and I've given the example of Somalia, where they're actually trying to push back so that they redefine a child to be under the age of 15 years. So it's a question that we'll keep on discussing, but for us in Kenya, we're very clear it's 18 years. Thank you.
Okay, I will answer very fast. The first question was the gentleman behind there. You asked about children being mistreated in the police stations and sometimes in the police cells, being placed in the police cells.
Like, if you have discussions with these police stations as well.
Yes, yes. We've been lucky to partner with some organizations, and we have done sensitization programs for law enforcement officers, especially police officers working in the gender or police child protection units. So I know there is a lot that is required to be done, but the trainings, we are organizing trainings as the resources become available for those officers. But no child should be placed in a police cell. If that area has a very active OCS and a children's officer, it should not occur, because the children officer is supposed to assist the police, look for or identify a home for placement. So unless those two agencies are not they are not talking together, or they are not acting in the same line, is where you will find those problems. But I've had issues in an area called Maralal, where only shelters available are for girls, and I went to rescue boys. So do you know where I came to place the children? I came up to Thika, Kiambu, to look for a home. In the meantime, I had to ask the OCS to squeeze me a place in the station where those victims would hide for a while before I arranged for transportation from Maralal to. So sometimes the resources on the ground don't allow, so it is upon us, and as I say, partnership is very important in child protection. The reason for non-governmental organization is to assist the government where the government's hand reaches. Probably you can fill in. If you can, and you're able, and you have a home or a shelter, you can. That's where the non-governmental organization and partnerships come in. The next question was for if a police officer is the offender. We have the animal called IPOA.
Maybe before you go to the next question, I can contribute something for that question on rescue. So,
I wanted to complete, then rush somewhere. There was a place I was supposed to be at 4:30. I'm still here. Please. So, IPOA, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, holds us accountable for all the actions, okay, that we do. So they have their toll-free line, and that's the assignment that I will give to you today. Find the toll-free line for IPOA. You can report the cases, but where you feel like the police officer is the one violating the law. So that you don't want to see the DCI investigating their fellow police officer, because you won't think it is, I'll be impartial to that case. So you report it to IPOA. They have their toll-free line. You just make a phone call and they will take up the case. Then on the issue of being, maybe when a man goes to report to a police station and they don't feel like it's a very serious case, I think, I always say in every forum that I am, that police stations are the command. We have commands in the police station. When you are going to report a case and you have been served poorly by somebody on the desk, in that station there is a police commander called the OCS or the OC in charge. You say, I have come to this station and I have reported an issue and I have been poorly served, okay? And nowadays Kenyans always walk around with live cameras, so even you can have an evidence of that. So you can look for the other. If the OCS doesn't serve you, he has a boss, okay? By the time you exhaust even to the county, I think you will have you must find somebody who will attend to you, okay? So you must know your rights to be served, okay? Don't just be, I'm not serving you and you turn back. No. Be the person who can say, like if I go to court today and they say they're not giving me orders, I ask the magistrate, why? And which court can I go next to get the orders? Because I want the victim to feel good. You must explain to me why you're not giving me this. And why you came, I must question even the judgment for me to trigger if the prosecutor is not, because we We have everything. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to add to the question of rescue. I think part of what we need to do, all of us, including you, social media personalities, influencers, bloggers, is to understand what the law provides in terms of rescue, because this has really been a gap. You can imagine a child being rescued and being taken all the way to Kiambu. I just want to let you know that the Children Act provides that every county shall have a rescue facility for children. That's a provision in the Children Act. And so why that is not in existence, why a child has to go across Kenya to find a place to be rescued is a gap, a very clear gap. If the law provides for it, then it's our duty and role to demand that these rescue facilities be provided for in every county so that children can be rescued and being placed in their respective counties.
He has been conferred with the power. The little, I am supposed to be somewhere, I'm sorry, I cannot be able to continue. I'm supposed to be somewhere by 4:30 and I have the program running to another. So I'm very reachable. I've given you the contacts. Please feel free to reach to us. Walk into our office, you will see the other side of the police. Probably you may even have a chance to test what? No, not a cell. Even us, even me, I don't walk with my gun when I'm going to work. So don't worry about being placed in the cells. Our office is child friendly. For those who have been there, they know. Okay? Lemongrass, tutakupatia.
All right. So one of the things that because we're here to talk about, maybe as we conclude this particular session and we conclude the day, I think what is coming out clearly is that we all need to work together as the different actors. And as the different presenters have indicated here, that we have got commitments as a country, as a continent, as a globe to protect children. And for us to execute those commitments, that then we have all really to work together. So the most important thing is each one of us to know exactly what's our contribution. So even for you guys who are here from the media fraternity, really it's our hope that this discussion then has ignited that awareness on what our role is as the media fraternity. And the call from each of the actors that let's work together, because they usually say the formula for synergy is 1 + 1 = 3. That we get to achieve more when we join forces. So even as we live here, what we really want to implore all of us is that let's join forces, work together, collaborate for the bigger impact, which is online protection of the children. So really that would be my parting shot from here. So thank you so much.
Okay, we have not heard from our director for a minute, so I wanted her to say a few words. After that, then we will go back to the panel those questions that have been burning, as our chairperson is talking, I would like if you can write it down or if you can pass the mic so that I can hand them over some of the questions so that they can be thinking on them and thinking of answering. So just write your question down. I'll still pass the mic. But if you have a burning question, you can write it down and then I will pass it to our panelists and they can continue contemplating on their answers as we continue with the session.
Thank you. What is coming out very clearly from this meeting is that we are in agreement. We need to work together, right? And you see, we need each other. Do you agree with me? Yes. We do, right? Now, because of that position, what I would love to discuss right now is how to strengthen this ethical advocacy ecosystem. That is how do we work together? How do we strengthen this that we are starting today? You know? And I wish that the panelists we have here today, including we have, for bloggers, we have Bake there. This is what we are hoping we can gather from them, because they are all actors, and for the bloggers, you are represented by Val, right? Then after they can suggest to us how we can pick your position, your advices, or what you feel we need to do as we come to near the end, to launch that position, the call for action, that which we are agreeing, right? Great. So if I repeat for the sake of our partners, it is wanting to hear how, in your opinion, we can strengthen an ethical advocacy ecosystem. This ecosystem we have learned that we need to build, and we need to work together within. How do we strengthen it? And I am putting it as an open forum to hear your views, and also we'll get the feedback from the plenary.
The moment we've been waiting for, your questions. Let's start here.
Yeah. Okay, my question inaenda kwa facilitator wenye wamekuwa wametufunza hapo kwa leo. Kenye nilikuwa nauliza ni si mmetrain, nimeingia live, nimseme ni text akaniambia hebu ingia live nione kenye una train. Juu alikuwa nikiapply. So hapo apply yeye mwenyewe. So ameniambia niingie live, akasikia tunaambiwa, akasema tuna have hii kitu inafaa inakuja, tunatrainiwa then sisi tunawa train. Juu tukisema tukuje wote, hii space hadi ni kidogo. Juu nakuta sisi kama tuko group ya watu 100, huyu group ya 50, so kusema tukuje wote itakuwa ngumu. So suggestion ya side yangu ama side yetu nilikuwa nauliza kama tunaweza kuwa train, then sisi tuende back train. Juu kama tunakuwa together, tunafaa kuwa na backup ya community.
So in this session, I would want us to, from the crowd back to the panelists, from the crowd back to the panelists. I don't want us to do 3-4 questions. I want this to be very interactive. I want you ask, you get your answers or opinions. And sometimes, you know, the answers are not just here. The answers also come from you. So if you feel like there's a question that has been asked and you might have an answer for it, feel free. This is where now we have an open dialogue so that we can be able to inform questions, decisions, and the way forward. Like he said, his team is too big. Do we need to establish programs where we train the key informants, and then these key informants go back to their community? And how do we make sure sustainable so that he, who doesn't have the information or has the information, do we support him by carrying one of us there so that we make sure that apart from the knowledge, if there's any gap, we're able to fill. So I'm going to hand it over. Anyone is free to respond, and then we can take it back to our people.
Okay, thank you. I think that is a very great suggestion. And what we would start with
be fast developing a curriculum that covers all the items or what we may need to know. And then from that curriculum, we'd have a group that would be trained or to be trainers of trainers, the TOTs. So that, as you've mentioned, it's not possible to have everyone. And then again, the other aspect that we can focus on is the use of technology. These days we are receiving trainings virtually. And so this is also another alternative that we can have. So I concur with what you said.
I think she said everything I wanted to talk about, but so I'll just do an addition of what she has said. For example, at the moment we have social media. It's not about having the skills of being a trainer to do the training. Training starts simple as you come for this training today. What did you learn? What lessons did you pick? When you go back or when you go online after this session and you see maybe someone has reported something about a child, whatever that you are going to do about it, that is the first step. That is the first step you need to take. If it's something that has been reported about a child and you feel like it has not been reported the right way, using the lesson that you picked from this, you can be the first-hand person to take this up by either reporting the story or making even a reply and saying this is not the way to report, this is not the way how to report an issue about children, or this is not the way to do this, or as well create, be a storyteller on your own profile or on your own platform. Be the first-hand storyteller of how you can report about children. It starts that way. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I'm just reinforcing what my fellow panelists has mentioned. We really shouldn't wait for kind of a structured, now let's go and begin kind of way. Since morning, we have learned things that we did not know. Since morning, every individual represented here already feels there's something they can do. That thing that you feel you need to go back and do, just start there. Start there. Don't wait for some structured, like I go with my team back there, sit in a workshop and start, from where they began. No, your little thing that you feel you need to go and do even today, you do it based on what you have learned here. Even as probably has been expressed here, a curriculum and all, but before we do that, let's stand to be counted with the little knowledge that we have achieved from here. I guarantee you it will make a difference. If every person represented here can just do something even today, it will make a big difference. My heart beats for strengthening of community mechanisms for protecting children. And who is better placed than the person who is utilizing an opportunity that almost everybody in the globe, in this global village that the digital space has made us, has been frequenting that space. So we can do something even today.
There's another question from the crowd, and then we can continue.
My question is, in the community which I come from, we've got a lot of kids loitering around. And the problem is that their parents cannot afford their school fees. Even if you want to help them, like in our office, hapo ndo malenyo hao wanaenda kuripoti mashida zao, but we are not able to accommodate all of them. If you could help me on that, it will be useful.
Thank you. That's a question that we always get, because we all know, or we see in the community, we have children whose parents are not economically able to cater for their children. And so, as a result, that becomes a push factor for these children to go to the streets, to beg, and some of them just live in the street. And so, within the government, we have different social protection measures that are there that we can utilize. I know they may not be 100% effective, but they are there. We have bursaries that are offered within constituencies. We have bursaries offered by Children's Department, the Presidential Bursary Fund. We have what we call the Inua Jamii program that helps children and elderly people. They are given some amount of money. So I know the application system will be a bit hard, but it's good to try, because you'd rather try and say, I tried and I failed. Go to those offices, knock those doors. When you knock is when that door will be opened. Again, we have the Street Family Rehabilitation Fund, so that caters for children who are in the street. So if you're able to link you can walk into any children's office and they'll be able to link you with the Street Family Rehabilitation Fund. So all these social protection mechanisms are supposed to be a safety net, but sometimes there are issues happen, and so knock those doors, don't give up. Thank you.
Yeah, just in addition, from the education sector, I know there is a conversation that no child should actually be denied education because they totally lack school fees. So especially those who are out of school in the streets because they lack the resources to be in school, encourage those parents to actually take their children to school and present their case. If schools deny them, then there are education offices in those areas. It could be at the sub-county level or at the county level. Then those cases are presented. Technically, no school should actually chase a child out of school because of lack of school fees.
And I think our advocacy role, because I want to underscore the purpose for which we are here, really, if I read it right, it says launch of social media what? Yes, launch of social media advocacy. When you know what the right of the citizen is, the right of the child is, and you know that in a certain situation it has not, the child has not received that right, is not enjoying that right. If we flag it, if we keep flagging it and flagging it and flagging it, and someone else flags it, will there be an impact? Will the duty bearers, will it draw the attention of the duty bearers? Even if what we are doing is simply drawing the attention through the many flagging and flagging and flagging it, then we are playing our role in advocacy. You see, the essence of advocacy is not such that something is done immediately, but the repeated, stubborn kind of attention that we are giving to an issue catches the attention of the duty bearer who can do something about it.
We have another question.
Yeah, let me just reiterate what my colleagues have said and indicate three things that maybe could be a good starting point based on the questions that you've asked. There was a question around children in police stations, and the Children Act has dealt with it. If you look at Section 64, every police station is supposed to have what we call a child protection unit. And it says the Inspector General shall ensure. And I remember the gentleman from Nyanza who was drawing a distinction between me and shall. It's coached in mandatory terms. So if you walked into a police station today and there's no CPU, you're already going against the Children Act. I say this because I think 2 weeks ago I was talking to a police officer in a training like this, and they were asking, they seem not to know that they're actually supposed to have child protection units in their police stations. And this is a role that you can really run with. Just drawing the attention to Section 64 and saying that police station X has no child protection unit, that goes against the Children Act. And like Eunice said, if it's repeated several times, the member of parliament, the members of parliament might take that up. The CS in charge of children will take that up. The CS in charge of internal security might take that up. So we have very good legislations, but because we are not shouting and talking about what is contained there, and children are actually not enjoying their rights. We've talked about issues around the child welfare schemes and things, funds to ensure that children are actually protected. Section 12 requires the government to actually establish a child welfare fund that will take care of the things that my sister was talking about. That fund has never been established. So what the drafters of the act did was to put the piece of, the provision in the act. It's now, the button is now on your side to really shout about that and ensure that one day, one time, that fund is established and we can actually have children benefiting from that. And there are quite a number of things, and that's why I said, if you are to look at the Children Act of Kenya, it's one of the best legislations. The challenge is with the implementation. A lot of questions that you'll be asking are actually addressed within the Act. The challenge is the implementation. So let's understand it and raise our voices around it so that children actually enjoy their rights. And just to finalize on your issue, the issue that you raised, child abuse, if you look at Section 3, they say that if you fail to prevent physical abuse to a child, that's deemed to be child abuse. So the fact that you stay back and you don't do anything about a potential violation or a potential physical injury to a child, that would then mean that you're actually abusing that particular child. And that's the section that I wanted to draw your attention to. Thank you.
Okay. Mine is to the panelists. I'm going to give like two scenarios here. Then your comments will really guide me on some issues there. One, what is your comment for those parents that are giving their children like family planning methods or etc.? Another one is when a family realizes that their daughter has disability, then they decide to like permanently make sure that this girl will never get children, then this girl grows up, wants to have a family. What is your comment and what does the law say on the processes? Thank you.
Over to you, panelists, who has kindly. Anyone who wants to comment or carry forward the next workshop?
Okay, I'm not a medic. I think I'm not a medic, but based on my practice, having practiced as a child protection specialist, one thing I know is that and Ibrahim and Esther can confirm this. I don't believe that they are doing right in giving children. In giving children family planning, whatever it is that they are doing, because these are children. And when Esther was presenting, she made it very clear that child marriage is outlawed. So even if a child has reached the age of conceiving and they are children, they are not supposed to be getting children or practicing engaging in sex when they are children, because that would lead to them being child parents. So for parents to prevent that by giving them contraceptives, for me, is not right. And I think that is the same parenting that I'm talking about. I have an issue with parents nowadays. They want to take shortcuts, because I'm not available at home to take care of my child, to teach them morals, to make sure they are protected within their home. Then I take the shortcut of whatever they are going to do, at least they would get pregnant. For us as bloggers and everybody, let's underscore the fact that parents should play their role of parenting children and preventing them from getting pregnant, not through contraception, but through bringing them up with life skills, through bringing, parenting them the traditional way of parenting, not just leaving children. Parents are too busy for children. Women are so busy with the girls, and they forget
girl at home who you brought to this world so that you can parent, you give contraceptives and you go enjoy your life with the girl. That is wrong.
Back to us. Okay.
Hello everyone. Okay, now mine is not actually a question, but just a comment and a parting shot from the Media Council of Kenya. That is, while you people are being trained, I noticed that most of the slides had this thing of the Code of Conduct of the Media Council of Kenya. But I know most of you, okay, it's only available, not even only available, it's available to everybody, but those whom or those who have the knowledge of what that Code of Conduct contains are journalists and actually the media practitioners. So I felt it was okay, it was actually okay if you could have been trained on it, but because of timing and maybe other things, haikufanyika. So I was urging you, we have the online version of the Media Council Code of Conduct. You can actually go to the website, the Media Council of Kenya website. You will be able to see the Code of Conduct and familiarize yourself with the Code of Conduct. Then the Council too, despite being a regulator, we also have the Complaints Commission that we work in hand with we work along the CAJ. So actually, the reason why I was making that aware to you is that you can actually report any cases of violations in the media, not only to child protection, but even you as a person, if you feel you are not covered properly with the media, you are free to file a complaint to the Complaints Commission and you'll be helped in hand. And if you have any problem with the Code of Conduct, that is if you can't understand it fully on the website, we also provide online training under the media literacy. Still on the website, you can apply. We do trainings for journalists and media practitioners, but still being that you are influencers, you can fall under the media practitioner and you'll be trained and given a certificate. I hope that one will help. Thank you.
I have one question from the crowd, but we had one of our members, Phoebe, wanted to add to the points that we were already discussing, and then I can take it back to you with the next question, which I think would be our final question for the day. But if there's more, kindly, if you can write it down, or I can just also pass. But Phoebe wanted to add before we move on to the next topic or question.
Thank you. I like what, before I add what I wanted to say on the previous question, I like what you just said, because this, the panel, the reason for this panel right now was to have the discussion on how we can strengthen the collaboration. Now, that is good what you've said, but we also want to say, walking alone, you can, they say what, if you want to walk far, to go far, walk alone. No, if you want to go fast, walk alone. If you want to go far, yes. So this is a call to you. We want to unite. We want to underscore the need for collaboration. Joining forces, that is what Dennis said, and I want to underscore that we work together, because even these people, just this today was, I would say, an awareness creation, a capacity building, brief, but you can already see, as the day is running, we are getting tired, right? So can you imagine if tomorrow another institution now calls for this, the other day calls the same people, how long? But if we go together, we can actually achieve much more. So thank you and welcome on that. We can collaborate. Adding my voice on to what Eunice just said, I think the question, if I understood, sorry I didn't get his name. The question he asked was about maybe children who are differently abled, right? Who have been, I would say, without their consent, been taken through. I don't think a child can actually consent to be put on any form of contraceptive or family planning. They don't think, if they have such capacity, they do not. is an abuse in itself. Leave alone for any child. I want to say for any child. Just as much as they cannot consent to have sex, so whether it is with their peers or with people who are older than them, it is just preparing them for abuse. Whether they are children who are differently abled or otherwise, it is not right. They cannot consent. It is a wrong to a child. Thank you.
One thing that I would want to add to that is that just like what has been mentioned in this space of online protection, that if you see a parent denying their child access to the internet completely, they are doing that from an ignorant point of view. When they are empowered, they have the awareness, they actually need to guide this particular child to use the internet safely. So it's the same thing, even with when it comes to sexual reproductive health rights. If you see a parent like what you just asked, especially for girls with disability, that those particular practices are actually conducted on them. From one hand, this is a parent who is acting either from a disability stigmatization point of view, a parent who is acting from an ignorance point of view. So, especially now for advocates in this space, what then needs to be done that these parents need to actually be empowered, to have the awareness to know how to guide these children as opposed to actually performing an act that amounts to abuse to these particular children. Just I wanted to add to that.
Thank you. We have the final question.
Okay, I'm asking a question on behalf of my colleague here. Some parents encourage their children to stay indoors and spend most of their time online instead of allowing them to go out and interact with other kids. Does this expose children to the online world too early? And what potential effects can this have on their development?
Thank you very much for the question. I think when we are talking about issues of child protection, the other very important aspect in children's lives is child participation. And you cannot allow a child to participate every day doing the same thing, or just letting them be like zombies. You know what a zombie is? So sometimes I think it's all related to how we engage the children. And I like the fact that most of the partners who are here, if you go and check some of the programs that they are doing, they are trying to ensure that that voice of a child matters. As much as we would want to engage the child, sometimes it's also good to talk to the children, because these children will also tell you what feels good for them. They may not even be enjoying what me as a parent would want them to do. But if you discuss with them, you'll actually find they give you options. Some are even so cheap, because sometimes you always think of budget lines and the rest. But if you put yourself in the lens of a child, you'll actually discover that children are very easy people, very understanding, and sometimes they can even make you enjoy being with them. Why? Because they're very creative. So what I would share is that we don't need to limit children, but we need to allow children to be, just that we need to continue guiding them, mentoring them, and ensuring as much as we are allowing them to grow, to do what they are able to do, we have to always be there as parents just to guide and protect, so that if you're talking of any kind of harm, then we are sure that we are avoiding that, so that the safety, the safeguarding we are talking about can actually be there. Thank you.
Just an addition, again, just an addition to what Magdalene is talking about. As we start thinking about the role of the different actors, we already mentioned that the giver actually plays a primary role. So besides monitoring what kind of digital activities their children are engaged online, providing guidance on how to live in the online environment safely, one of the things that parents need to do is also to moderate screen time for their children. So that is a critical role for them, because again, if screen time is not well managed for children, it easily graduates into a digital addiction. So digital addiction starts to become a harm that children then will face or be exposed to when it comes to the digital environment. And from digital addiction, slowly you start experiencing things to do with mental health. So I think again, like I'm saying, is that it's really to ensure that such caregivers or such parents, again, like Eunice indicated, is that parents are too busy for their children. And even for us, because you have a deadline that you want to submit, you have a blog that you need to finalize, what you want to do is to hand over that tablet to the child and things like this. So that end of day, instead of becoming an actor who then moderates, we enable that particular practice that we should be guiding children from. So that apparently, like that one, that my sister asked, then becomes a parent who's enabling a lot of screen time for the child. If it's not well regulated, like I said, it can graduate now into the digital harms for this particular child. Mental health being one of those.
Okay, let me also chime in on that. For me, parenting is really such a critical issue, and somehow I feel like we are getting to a place where social media, we're going to be at the mercies of social media. One day I was talking to journalists, I think it was back in Busia, and just trying to encourage them on why children should not be given unlimited and supervised access to the internet. I want to underscore this. We are very quickly even forgetting offline engagements that children should be doing even over this. I live in an estate, and there are so few children playing outside that it really worries me so much. And some, when they are playing outside, you peep to see, and they are all congregating around what? A phone. One of them has been given access to phones. Hata ukikataza watoto wako simu, kuna yule amepewa. Na wakitoka huko nje, wana congregate around hiyo ya huyo amepewa. You see where we are losing it. Some parents are giving restrictions, anafukuza mtoto nje, toka wachana na mambo ya simu, wachana na mambo ya movies, enda ukacheze huko nje. Outside there, they find a parent who doesn't care whether whatever the child watches, and you find 20 children congregating around a mobile phone. What am I saying? I'm saying that as internet and technology continue advancing, as it keeps drawing children to it, what are we doing? Are we just sitting and watching? It's high time that we came up with programs that brought back the games that we used to play. Some of us, I don't know about you, Gen Zs, okay, even Gen Zs, this thing of internet and all that has come it's come recently, and it came with a bang. But you know very well that there are games that we used to play, kati, whatever. How can we, in a very innovative and creative way, make it appealing to the children so that they leave those phones and engage in offline kind of recreation? That's an assignment for all of us. Otherwise, we'll just sit back and let the internet take over.
Yeah, so we have been guided to provide our final comments, and I want to actually respond to the question that Phoebe threw to us in terms of how to strengthen ethical advocacy ecosystem. And when we talk about that, of course, we're talking about people who are here and the other critical actors who should be with us today. And for me, I would actually highlight 4 quick points. The things that we must do to ensure that then there is ethical advocacy ecosystem. Of course, the first thing is capacity building or capacity development. And that is what I hear from you guys, that we need to be empowered with information. Because you can only advocate on an issue that you really understand very well. So that's the first thing, capacity development of all the relevant actors. Number 2 is joint action. We have to agree on what is that we want to influence. What is that we want to advocate for. So for instance, it could be that one of the things that we want to advocate for is for the platform providers to integrate safety by design when they're providing their platforms. So that becomes our joint action. Our joint action could be that we want to sensitize caregivers to be an enabler at the family level in terms of protecting children online. So we have to have our own joint action. The third thing is coordination. If we will not be coordinated, definitely this particular engagement would be recorded as an event and not a process. So coordination is important, that then we continue engaging, communicating on our plan, and executing that particular plan. So I think one of the things is even to think about how do we want to coordinate for us to have that ethical advocacy system. And then the last one from me would be an aspect of an accountability mechanism, that we have to hold ourselves to account. And what would be that mechanism then to hold ourselves to account? Because just like again, Alubala was indicating from the instruments, there are commitments at continental level, there are commitments at national level. So, and of course countries are required to report on the progress. That's an accountability mechanism. What will be that accountability mechanism for us? Once we agree on the things that we need to do, how do we hold ourselves to account? The thing that we really need to avoid is a situation where we feel helpless in terms of addressing the issue at hand and then working in silos. Thank you.
Thank you. My parting shot is this. You have immense power to protect children, to prevent abuse through social media. So my call to action is be child protection ambassadors in the online world so that we protect and we prevent children from all forms of abuse. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I will reiterate what Dennis said without necessarily repeating. I think he's summarized in the best way that I would ever do. Just a quick one on the internet thing and children. Again, the Children Act under Section 14 requires all county governments to set up public spaces for children to play. It's if you look at the title of that section, it's the right to play, recreation, and leisure activities. And it reckons that land grabbing has become a phenomenon in Kenya, where people grab land, we build estates without thinking of where children will play. Section 14 mandates county governments to do that. It's also an item, an agenda item that you can run with and ask where these county governments have designated these lands. Otherwise, I endorse what Dennis said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think for me, on behalf of Cralaf, this has really been a great day. First, I would like to thank each and every one of you for really taking your time to come and for allowing us to celebrate this big day, the World Children's Day. And I think the call for action is really not to leave the discussions in this room as we are leaving here, but we go back as ambassadors. Let us be people who think about children. Let us be children-centered. I'm not saying we stop doing the blogging that we've been doing, but let us just be more sensitive on ensuring that we ensure that issues of children can also be articulated. Our stories must and need to really protect the dignity, inspire hope, drive action without really putting any child into risks. So we have a duty, and as an organization, together with other partners, we are really looking forward to our next, I'll call it date, so that when we'll be coming back, we'll be looking at what have we been able to do. If you Google right now and check how many stories are actually being published in this country by the media, it is so sad, very little. But I really hope that out of this meeting today, you go back thinking, at least every week, can I have a story about the Kenyan children? And it doesn't need to be this story of desperation. It doesn't need to be this story of a child as a victim. There are so many nice and interesting stories to really tell about the children. And the best way to tell children's stories is actually involve the children, and they'll tell you all the sweet stories you want to hear from them. Thank you so much.
So mine is to thank Cralaf for being so visionary, for really targeting this, this section of the media who are very, very super influential. I just want to underscore a point I made as I was training, and to reiterate what Magdalene brought up. Let's not glorify abuse. Even as we report abuse, let's not report it for the sake of making people alarmed about the abuse. Let us make sure we also bring in what needs to be done. It's not just about the abuse, what needs to be done. So another thing I want to say is that the future belongs to our children. How are we shaping that future? Children are looking upon us today for a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much, our team of panelists. I think we have heard from Cralaf, we have heard from DCS, we have heard from NSCCS, CAK, and most of the advocates and the child rights experts. So finally, we need to hear from the bloggers. We could not give everybody a voice, and I think I've gone around the table and even asked, like, is there anybody I'm leaving out? So as a representative of the bloggers, I want you to help me invite Valerie Luhanyo. She's a communications manager at the Bloggers Association of Kenya, short BAKE. She leads the organization's strategic communications, digital campaigns, and public engagement initiatives. With a strong background in digital media, advocacy, and content development, she's passionate about digital rights, ethical storytelling, exactly what we're here to talk about, ethical storytelling and aligned. She's also empowering creators to use their platforms responsibly. Through her work, she supports nationwide programs on fact-checking, online safety, media literacy, and helping build a safer and more inclusive digital ecosystem in Kenya. She's committed to amplifying meaningful narratives, supporting the creator community, and advancing BAKE's mission of promoting responsible online expression and digital freedoms. I would like her now, because of everything that we have discussed today, she would be our last speaker, so that we can hear from one of you, or at least from a voice that is working towards ethical storytelling. Kindly welcome, Helen.
Thank you so much. First, I'd like to say thank you to the Cralaf team for allowing us to be here and allowing us to bring on board creators, the influencers, the bloggers, and everyone in the digital space to participate in this conversation. Because normally it's always the mainstream media, it's always the specific people who are talking about this conversation. But today, if we have a chance to have the new creators, because I think we've had a discussion before about how media is now shifting from the mainstream to the digital space, and it is such a great chance to have the bloggers, the content creators join this space. So briefly, I'll talk about what BAKE does. BAKE is a community organization for online content creators, and it supports free expression. Free expression includes the conversations we are having here, conversation about children, digital safety, I think the representative from DCI left earlier, but I will have loved to have a conversation with him after the session, but I know we'll connect later. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the digital space, and having content creators be part of this conversation is part of moving from the boardroom. Yeah. I don't know, most of the things have been talked about, but on behalf of BIG, I'd like to say thank you. And to the content creators, I am praying we are not going to leave these conversations here in the boardroom. I like saying the boardroom because if we have this session here and never talk about it, it's as well as happened in the boardroom. So to start off, as a creator, I would like you guys to take out your phone. I believe everyone has a smartphone. Sioni simu zenu. I can't see your phones. I wanted to do one last week because all the speeches, all the conversation I would have loved to talk about have been spoken. So we have to do something different. I can't see your phone. If you have your phone, just raise your hand. I can see 1, 2, 3 phones. Take a selfie. Take a selfie of yourself here. I think there are a few banners at the back, and then here you can take a selfie facing anywhere you feel comfortable. 1, 2, 3. A snapshot. Mbona sioni kamera zenu zikiwaka? Kuna mtu amechukua picha? Let me stand and see. I can't see enough fonts for this. Okay, so I can see the flashlights. We are now on a good course. I can see someone taking. Is there someone live on TikTok? Hey. Yeah, so if you have taken a photo, kindly go on your favorite platform, TikTok, X, Instagram, and just type something about this event, and the hashtag is self-scroll activism. Has anybody used that hashtag today? Sijaona mtu akitumia hiyo hashtag today, and we are saying we are digital ambassadors. I go on social media and post. After this session, I'll go and check who posted. Self-scroll activism. Self-scroll activism. You can self-scroll activism.
But I feel she's unfair. She should have told us about that hashtag from the beginning so that the whole day we make sure all the things that we're posting, it's never too late.
That hashtag was somewhere in the invite link.
Yes.
In the invite, it was somewhere there. Yes. So kindly post something using that hashtag and follow up and see the conversation. I want this conversation to go online because we are advocating for children's rights online and offline. If you're going to Mama Boga and tell them, umekuja na mtoto hapa asikae hapa, I want you to also tell them, ukikuja na mtoto kwa kibanda, ukipost kazi yako kwa kibanda, don't post your child. I want that the conversation to start from there. Has anybody posted? Aki amkai active. Kwani mmeshiba sana? Kuna chai. Kuna chai. You can also add a hashtag World Children's Day 2025. I believe that is the right hashtag for World Children's Day 2025. Another hashtag is your voice, their protection. Just write it as one word, kindly. And you can tag our partners. You can tag BIG. BIG is BIG Kenya at BIG Kenya on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Communication Authority, I know it's CA Kenya on X, Facebook, Instagram, I'm not so sure. For Cralaf, we have Cralaf at Cralaf Kenya. So the end is before and then Ministry of Gender, Culture and children's services. I'm not sure about the hashtag, but I know if you go on X, you will find something related to that. And then forgive my eyes, I'm not able to see the names of the other partners. Okay, let me move closer. We have a National Council on Administration of Justice, NCAJ. I'm sure there is something on at NCAJ. National Council for Children Services, NCCS. There should be something around that. Are we online? Are we live? Muko live? Hello? Kuna chai? Kuna chai, guys. Kuna chai. Kuna chai, kuna kahawa, kuna snacks. The next few. Post something, talk about the children. We are going to start this conversation so that when we come back for our next training for the continuation of this session, we are not going to start from where we started today to say, oh, we are going to introduce what children do. No. We need to talk about the children's rights from today. At least I know we all know children have a right to play, have a right to education. Start from there. Today I went somewhere so and learned about this, and I want to be a champion about this, about the children. So I don't know if I finished what Beth does. The problem of not having a speech to get Yeah, I say BAKE is a community organization for online content creators, and it promotes free expression online. Our members include bloggers, influencers, digital creators, including TikTokers. If you want to become a BAKE member and you're a TikToker, we are not limiting it to only Facebook. We are not only limiting it to bloggers. So if you want to join BAKE, kindly you can see me later. Yeah, that's it. So we are doing a number of things, including training, like such trainings. This training was a partnership with Cralaf, but we are also doing trainings on fact-checking, digital rights issues across the country. We have done Mombasa, we've done Kisumu, was in Gishu in Nairobi, and we're about to do another training in Nakuru, just to sensitize content creators on how to report ethically on issues, on their issues on digital rights in the digital space. As much as we have the freedom to freely express ourselves, we also have limits of on how we need to report issues, how we need to report the content online. Because as much as we now have smartphones, we can't abuse them because we have access to the media. We have to use it ethically and also share credible information. Another thing we do is we also do litigation. That is for bloggers who've had issues around, maybe if you posted something and you are arrested by DCI, that is what I was mentioning about the DCI. And if you are arrested, we are able to, what we do is we look for a lawyer or maybe a representative legal organization to represent you in the court. We also support creators' work through membership development. If you have a blog or you want to be a blogger and you don't know how to get started, we do mentorship around that. And we also support members through for such engagements. We also connect organizations with bloggers. If we have like a corporate looking for, let's say, a photographer or someone who wants to just do storytelling about an organization, we do that connection for bloggers. Because as a community organization, we don't get keep information, or we don't get keep whatever that we get from our partners, from the individuals who want to support bloggers. So we let them work with bloggers to support them, to support their work. I believe that is it. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for coming. It is so humbling to invite people and then there is 100% turnout. In the media space is never easy, and seeing you just come to learn, to become digital champions, to champion for children's rights is really humbling. As on behalf of bakers, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you.
by force. Thank you. Thank you, Val. I'm very grateful because of this partnership. Because gathering these people together is not easy. I know it has been a lot of back and forth between the two of us, but thank you for believing in this. And clear you can see, they want to learn, they want to do things right. So it is us as partners, it is for us as partners. It is for us, let me call ourselves as stakeholders, including them, to empower them to be able to do this. And I want to put, I know she says write something. Do not write something. Write social media advocacy, online child protection. My voice, there? I can't hear you. My voice there? My voice there? We commit to continue with the trainings, with the engagement. When I mean engage, let me call them engagement because it is not just training. We have good plan laid out for you from now. We'll continue with the trainings to empower you. We'll evaluate. We'll be checking on what you are doing, not in a bad way, so that we can walk. So that we're able to tell that this training is impactful, right? And we are going to award you. Because what's the point of watching and checking and training and not being able to encourage the person who's done well? Is there a need? So we shall be doing very good awards. So this time is coming. So please learn and make sure you are making use of what you have actually learned. Are we together? So at this point, I want to, let's stand up. We have sat for too long. We are finishing. Let us stand up. Why have you gone? I will not discharge you. You want to start light with no books. Good. You have some good space. You know, children events are never too boring. It's not, we are talking, right? So I would like you to start very near your seat, and I'm going to lead a song. It will be having female places where there is F. So for the female, you sit down when you hear F. For the men, here we want to identify as only two genders that God created. So for male, where you hear a word starting with M, you sit. So we'll be having some sit, others stand. Let's go. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men. That's right. It's okay, you're allowed not to be sure in the beginning, but now let's do it. One last go. There's one who has been a female full-time, a follower full-time. Okay, let's do one last one. I will make you fishers of men, quick fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you come on. Great. If you follow me, if you follow me. Well done, Dennis. Great. Now, in the same spirit, we want to launch this. We are in agreement that we are starting, we are working together, right? Can we declare this process open now? Yes? I want to hear it well. A very nice, good, loud yes.
Yes.
Yes. Are we working together?
Yes.
Do we pledge to do it right?
Yes.
Do we pledge to have fact checking?
Yes.
Responsible writing?
Yes.
Do we want to tell stories in a child-centered manner?
Yes.
Do we pledge to report to us? We are one of them. We are going to work with you. You will be very present because we are a legal aid organization. Don't just report and finish. Do you pledge to report to us and any other authority?
Yes. Yes.
You're hesitant. Do you?
Yes.
Great. So now, we want to call the Cralaf team and the rest. You join here. Bas.
Your voice, your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your
Your Your voice. Your voice. Your voice. I can't hear
Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
You must move to dance. Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
Lot na launch ama to launch.
Your voice.
Your protection. Your love. Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
Your voice.
Your protection.
Are we launching this? Yes. We are launching. This is the launch of your voice.
The protection. The protection.
So we are officially launching. This is I want. So
Cralaf, this is the launch of social media advocacy on online child protection. Your voice. Your congratulations, your voice. Your voice. Your voice. Your voice. Your voice. Your voice. Kuna certificates, by the way. Thank you. So I want us to have the final vote of thanks, and then we can close.
And just for me is to tell you that we are going to communicate as we have on the next one. We said we are going to have continuous engagement, right? And please tell your friends, share in your socials, let people know. It is through you, it is you we are waiting on to not only do right, but teach others to do right. Someone asked that question earlier. And it is you. If we can just turn 30, today you are 52, 68. Today you are 68. If the 68 of you today, I know you have many people who are following you, right? Yes. Do something. Don't be confused on what to write. It is there. All right? Social media advocacy on online child protection. Your voice, their protection. We'll keep updating you on what to write, what is legally right. I don't know whether that's the proper word. So that you are empowered. All right? So it's not just for you. Make sure someone else is aware. Start with the people you have online. The people who can at least, when you post a few, will see. Right? Thank you very much. We'll keep you updated.
Okay, before tufunge, kwa Kenya nimelala leo, mimi mwanzo nimejibamba na nimekuja kuambia nyinyi watu wenye mko hapa, sijui kama kuna mwenye ataungana na mimi on Monday Kenya nimelala, juu mimi ni content creator, ta create a short film kulingana na hii. So kama uko hapa, obviously kila mtu ako na mimi. kila msee ako na smartphone, so nilikuwa naomba if kindly kama kuna mtu ataweza usubscribe kwa channel on Monday nikipost tufanye kushare hiyo kitu ndio onekane yenyewe tumelaunch. So YouTube ni Paragraph Entertainment. I will be post it in YouTube, then takatakia sinyeke kwa TikTok. Kila mahali ni Paragraph Entertainment. Asante.
Thank you very much. That one is a converted. What? The priesthood converted. Amen.
So for also people who are doing blogs or content around this, if you write something, kindly send to my email. I'm the lady who send you emails, invite emails, valerie@big.or.ke. Send me a blog post or a social media post and share on our platform. Across all our platform, we have 2 blog posts. The one called Kenya Monitor. We share content on citizen journalism. So whatever is happening here is on citizen journalism. I'll be able to share it. So kindly, if you write something, don't stay with it. Share with me. I'll be able to share it to our larger audience. Thank you.
Well, as you write to Val, you can copy Stella at Cralaf, so that also she can, I'm sure she's able to do that. All right? Thank you.
Hello. How are we feeling? Are we happy? The fact that we are here and it's past 5 p.m. means that this has been a very, very useful and very productive day. So I would want to let each one of you clap for yourself for being part of this. We definitely could not have been here up to now if each one of you decided just to be elsewhere. So I really take it and I'm saying thank you on behalf of Cralaf, together with the partners, together with the sponsors for this event. And as my directors already shared with you, it's not the end. We've actually started a long journey that we are hoping will take us to so many places. And it should be not just within here, it should be in the entire country. And we also want to go global. So, and we'll go global already with our hashtags, with all the stories that we are going to share, with our new mindset of ensuring that we can talk about children in a very positive light. If we talk well about children, the children will also be happy. And also the children will be learning from each one of us. So I wouldn't want to waste much more time, but really to thank everyone, especially our partners, the Ministry of Gender, Culture, and Children's Services. They've been here the whole day and we thank them for that. We have the National Council for Children's Services. We have BEX. Please, let's clap for BEX. I want to thank them in a very special way for mobilizing the media. Many people always want the media to come on board, but it's never a very easy venture. So we really appreciate this and we hope that out of this partnership, it will be something that will continue and we'll expect in our next training to even have more and more, content creators come on board, more social influencers come on board, and a lot of the narratives we are saying now, if you Google, we'll be able to see more trending stories about issues of children in this country. I want to thank also the Communication Authority of Kenya. I also want to thank the National Council and Administration on Justice, NCAJ. I would also want to thank Teres Homes, maybe I'm calling it badly, but yeah, TDH. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Save the Children. I will not take it for granted. I want to also thank other partners. We had Media Council of Kenya, and each one of you. Really take it from us that we do appreciate this, and let's not stop the conversations. Let the conversation continue. The good thing is that we are online, so even if we'll not necessarily be in this space, but in the spaces that we have, let's keep the discussions alive. Thank you so much, and may God bless each one of you. So we are going to do the last clap for everyone, including us and all the partners and the sponsors. I don't know if you know the factorial clap. Do you know it? You know it? Factorial. So let's start. We can just stand and do the factorial together. Let's go. 1. Factorial. Let's start. Let's go. We are doing 5 factorial. Okay? So let's start. Can you do it again? 5 factorials. Yes, asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Maybe we close with a word of prayer and then please we'll have some tea. Don't leave it behind, it's ours.
Let us bow our head for the prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this day, thanking you for the eventful day that you've had and how gracious you've been